So breaking, Trump not immune from prosecution. Welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. It's Tuesday. Now this just came down from the D.C. Federal Appeals Court, so forgive me if it doesn't seem like I'm prepared here. I wrote some notes, but I gotta read. My main focus in this video is this article at The Guardian. I want to talk about this article at The Guardian, but as you know, when news breaks, you have to talk about it. So I'll just read to you what the court said about this. So the court said that they were unpersuaded by Trump's argument. They had a balance between Trump's asserted interest in executive immunity and vital public interest that favor allowing prosecution to proceed. Quote, we conclude that the interest in criminal accountability held by both the public and the executive branch outweighs the potential risk of chilling presidential action and permitting vexatious litigation. That's just a fancy way of saying we're going to let this prosecution go through. But Thursday, the Supreme Court is going to hear these arguments in this case regarding Colorado. And that brings me to this article at The Guardian. Now, this is a story by David Smith. This came out yesterday. And this surrounds a woman by the name of Jill Habig, last name H-A-B-I-G. By the way, thank you for subscribing, being a part of this thing called the Culture Confederacy, watching the videos. As you know, I love doing this channel, so tell your friends about the channel. We're just over 200 subscribers, so let's make it to 300, 400, 500, like I said in a previous video, maybe 1 million subscribers this year, I don't know. Keep in mind, I'm a regular guy out here. I love this thing called the United States. I love being an American. And I'm all about preserving history, culture, great art, music. But we do a tinge of politics. So let's get into this article here. Now, I love the opening paragraph of this article by, what's this guy's name again? As I said, I'm doing this in one take today. David Smith in Washington. David Smith in Washington. Could it be David Smith in, oh, I don't know, South Dakota? Maybe Ohio, maybe one of the Midwest states. You know, because we're called flyover country. As I mentioned, came out yesterday. When Jill Habig had an office down the hall from Kamala Harris in California, pardon me, Barack Obama was U.S. president, abortion was a constitutional right, and January 6th was just another date on the calendar. A lot has happened since then. As though it was a gentler, kinder time in America. Well, remember under President Obama, we had the Freddie Gray Baltimore riots in 2015, and a year before that, Michael Brown, Ferguson riots in 2014. But it was a kinder, gentler America. Can it give it? I swear, whenever I do a video, I can't get the words out. But I think that's why you guys love the channel. You know, I just come here and I am who I am, and you love that. So thank you again for supporting this thing called the Culture Confederacy. So on Thursday, Habig, now president of the nonprofit Public Rights Project, also known as the PRP, hopes her arguments will persuade the Supreme Court that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist who should be disqualified from the 2024 presidential election. So she's filed an amicus brief on behalf of historians contending that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution talks about people who, quote, have engaged in insurrection from holding public office, and that this would apply to Trump in his role regarding January 6th. Now, what's interesting about this is that she's working in conjunction here with two historians, Joe Lepore of Harvard and David Blight of Yale, cites debates from the time in which senators made clear that their view that the provisions that would not only apply for former Confederates, but to the leaders of rebellions yet to come. Because you know those Confederates, they were just these rebellious insurrectionists. Well, the truth is, Jill Lepore and David Blight, the South seceded. They didn't rebel. They declared secession, and they separated from the United States. And only after that did we have the Civil War. Go back and check the history on that. Now, there had been some contention, of course, months before, but the fact is these states peacefully seceded. You see, secession is peaceful. It's peaceful when the other parties allow the other party to secede. It's a two-way street. But Lincoln didn't want that. He wanted to, quote-unquote, preserve the Union. Habig adds, quote, pardon me, it was intended to apply not only to the Civil War, but also to future insurrectionists, and it bars anyone who has betrayed an oath to uphold the Constitution from becoming President of the United States. But you see, her real argument isn't Trump being an insurrectionist, rather. No. It all has to do with abortion. Abortion. It's the last paragraph, one of the last paragraphs in this article here, as you're going to find out. So this is a lengthy article. I'm just going to read some quotes for the sake of time. Now, the Supreme Court will hear arguments on a Colorado case in which Trump was stricken from the ballot. As I found out here, you can watch us live on PBS. I think the arguments start at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday. So that's February 8th. Again, 10 a.m. You can watch it live on PBS. I'm not trying to plug PBS, but just letting you know where it's available. You'll probably be able to see it on C-SPAN. So they're going to look at this case, hear these arguments, Colorado, in which Trump was stricken from the ballot. A decision in Maine is on hold. Other states have ruled in favor of keeping Trump on the ballot. The flurry of decisions have prompted debate over whether Trump can be fairly considered to have committed insurrection, even though he has not been found guilty in a court of law, at least not yet. See, it's all going to come down to intent. You're going to have to prove that Trump intended to commit insurrection, that he instructed people to engage in insurrection. Where's your evidence of this? Where is your evidence of this? So let's get to some of these quotes by Habig. The evidence that we have seen and heard and watched with our own eyes over the past few years has made it quite clear that President Trump has lost the election in 2020 and has spent the months and years since then trying to overturn the results of that election in a variety of ways, including people marching to the Capitol and invading the Capitol. Well, there are some accounts that, depending on where you were at the Capitol building that day on January 6th, that people, I believe, on the east side of the Capitol, and there's footage of this, were actually facing away from the Capitol. And they were instructed by people inside the Capitol, law enforcement officers, what have you, that they were clearing people out of the Capitol building because of what was going on the west side of the Capitol. So what was really going on January 6th? I'm just asking the question, YouTube. I'm just asking the question here. Because if we want to get to the bottom of this, if we want to prove that Trump is an insurrectionist, well, we need all the evidence we can to prove that Trump is an insurrectionist, right? Hey, I'm making the argument for you. Indeed, Blythe has pointed out that the U.S. Capitol was never breached during the Civil War. Ah, okay, so it was never breached. So these Southerners, these quote-unquote Confederates, never breached the U.S. Capitol, never invaded it. All they did was peacefully secede. Maybe the narrative about the Civil War isn't what we've been taught. Now, you can make arguments about what some of the conflict was about then, but to say that they were insurrectionists? But she goes on to say it's difficult to argue with a straight face that these activities don't qualify for Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. So let me get to the quote here, just to save time. Get to the quote where she talks about abortion. Now, something else that's mentioned here is this SCOTUS decision. It was a 5-4 decision in 2013, striking down this formula that they used. I forget the name of it. It was some type of formula dealing with the Voting Rights Act. SCOTUS was accused of gutting the Voting Rights Act. And so people like Jill Habig are saying that this has allowed states to engage in broad gerrymandering, manipulating district boundaries, so as far as to favor one party and voter suppression. She says right here, the gutting of the Voting Rights Act by the Supreme Court left states to themselves to rewrite the rules of the game in a variety of ways that disenfranchise voters and continue to rig maps against their systems and fair representation. But here we go with what this is really all about. It's all about abortion. It's all about abortion with this woman. Listen. Trying to find the paragraph here, so bear with me. Like I said, it's a lengthy article. We've seen the Supreme Court take itself out of the game of protecting other fundamental rights like abortion and throw that back into the states. That's creating a lot of volatility at the state and local level as officials try to rewrite the rules or pick up the pieces and protect their constituents' rights. What we're trying to do is help state and local officials across the country use the power that they have to fight back and advance civil rights in all the ways they can. Really, Miss Habig. So, you're not happy with the decision that the Supreme Court made in 2013. And the real issue isn't really Trump, it's abortion for you. From your own statement here. I mean, these people, it just amazes me. These people, they want to sit there and they want to parade about and talk about saving our democracy when we're actually a constitutional federal republic, confederation of states, always have been. But they're going to go after Trump. And I saw another article, in fact, this week I'll share it with you, article about maybe we should think about getting rid of the presidency. I mean, because if this one office, the presidency, is going to cause this much division, maybe it's time we get rid of it, or at least limit the power of the presidency. So I thought I'd share this with you, talk about the breaking news here. It is a one-take video, trying to throw everything in here that I can, so thanks for bearing with me. But if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or you can find me at X, Culture Confederacy, at Culture Confed1 on X. This is the Culture Confederacy saying, peace out, stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time, and you all have a great Tuesday.